In this lesson, I am going to show you how to add pattern with stencils. So I think stencils are a great way of adding some marks and repetition and pattern in your composition. And it's just another thing that adds interest. So you can start with pre-made stencils. There is lots of these small 6 by 6 inch ones that are not that expensive, and I think they also make great collage paper, especially if you have a jelly plate. So they're fun for making your own collage papers. You can also scale up to a bigger size of stencil, so a 12 by 12. And as you scale up, the pattern generally gets bigger as well, which is good because usually on a bigger surface we want a bigger pattern. So one thing you have to remember about stencils is the pattern you are getting is the positive, I guess the negative space, the cutout space, not what you see. So it's the opposite. So keep that in mind, but there's some really fantastic patterns out there that you can get. Other things you might find for a stencil are things from a home or hardware shop. So this is a kitchen sink mat, and I love the little squares. So there's all kinds of things like that that can act as a stencil. And you can also find architectural stencils in the drafting department. So something that's geometric or like all squares or all circles, that can be fun. You can cut your own stencils as well. You just need some transparency film, or you could use lightweight cardboard like from a cereal box and just give it a couple coats of clear medium. So there's lots of ways that you can come up with making your own stencils of your own unique patterns. Now I'm going to show you how to apply the paint through the stencil. So I've selected this stencil with dots on it. That's going to repeat some of the shapes that I have in here. And I'm going to be using this stencil brush and some dioxazine purple, so something really dark. I'll just use the lid from the paint here. So what you want to do is just dab . I like to keep this a little more random, not making a square full of dots. If you were doing this on a vase, then maybe you want to stay within the shape. But for this, I'm just going to do it a little bit random. Now I could also turn this upside down and maybe get a bit of a relief pattern going with what was left on there. So we don't want to just put a stamp necessarily or a stencil in one place on our painting. We want to repeat that because repetition, again, is one of the elements of design. Oh, I got a little heavy-handed there. So we don't want to have too much paint or it's going to seep under. There we go. If you don't have a stencil brush, I'm going to show you another alternative. So again, now if you didn't want to use the pattern on this piece, you could have a separate piece of paper beside you to put the pattern on, and you'd be making some collage paper. So if you don't have a stencil brush, just go to the dollar store and get a bunch of makeup sponges. And these work really well too. So again, you just pounce. The problem with using a brush is that you end up getting paint underneath the stencil. So this prevents that from happening. You get a nice crisp pattern.